This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are your number one source for WKU sports news and information. We are the only year-round WKU podcast, and we're the only WKU podcast that covers every sport and every athlete here at WKU. We are also a proud member of the College Huddle podcast community, and make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms, especially X/Twitter, where you're going to get your most frequent and live updates about anything WKU related as they happen in real time or as close as possible. Whenever I see them, when it touches my eyes, it'll be shared on my feed. Got Tyler here with me, man. We've got a unfortunate game loss to recap, but we're going to dive into it nonetheless, man. You ready to get in?
Yeah, man, I wasn't really looking forward to this one after the game, but uh, we just got to do it. So let's jump in.
Rip the band-aid off, as they say. But before we jump into the game recap, we have to get caught up with the Red Towel wrap-up, which catches us up with all the news and information we missed since we last recorded. So, Tyler, hit us with that Red Towel wrap-up.
All right, so I think this the first one, Armello Boone got freshman of the week, Conference USA freshman of the week. I think that's his third uh, time getting the title. So that's a big congratulations to him.
Yeah, that's his third week in a row getting the freshman of the week. I haven't even had to backspace it off the Red Towel wrap up. I just leave it on the very top line. I just leave it there. Def, Taxes, and Armello Boone, freshman of the week. Might as well just give him the freshman of the year because that boy is killing it. He is special. Had a really good week at the Battle for Atlantis. And I think he's going to definitely be a special one that continues to develop this year. So really excited for him.
Coming up next, this is some good news. Coach Hank Plona announced that Terrion Murdick's injury wasn't season ending and won't require surgery. He should return sometime in January.
Yeah, probably the best possible news that could have come out of that injury that he suffered in game 2 versus South Florida in the Bahamas. Didn't look good, non-contact injury. It was his healthy leg, not his right, or I can't remember which one is injured with the brace on it, but his non-braced leg. And everyone was kind of worried that, man, this could be another season ender for him. But got good news on Monday when it was evaluated. It's not season ending, and he will return sometime in January. So, great news that it's not season ending. Great news he'll return early in conference play. And the other side of the good news is it's going to force Armello Boone to be more of a starting point guard position, which is going to open up more minutes for him to be on the court, continuing to develop and grow and blossom and get comfortable just in the offense, being on the court, knowing when to attack, knowing when to slow down. We've already seen how good he looks after 7 games, so I can't wait to see another month plus of him before Terrion comes back, man. Great news. I'm really happy for Terrion that he will come back, and really happy for Armello and some of the other guys on the bench that are going to get an opportunity to play more. Unfortunately, due to injury, but it's next man up as always.
Next, we're staying with basketball at the Battle for Atlantis. The basketball team beat Wichita State 75-70 to close the Battle for Atlantis with a 1-2 record, kind of avenging last year's loss to Wichita State.
Yeah, the last 2 years' losses to Wichita State. They've been our first loss in Lutz's year and last year in Plona's first year. So, yeah, nice to definitely get a little revenge on them. We were going to do a whole episode recapping the whole battle for Atlantis, but I think we've decided we're just going to do a non conference schedule recap when we get done with the 11 non conference games. But just a quick recap, man, we played the best team in the field, Vanderbilt. We played them in the very first game. They're number 4 in the net rankings that just came out 2 days ago, and they only beat us by 5. So we gave them their best game of the tournament. They went on to win their next 2 games by double digits, including the title game over St. Mary's by like 19. So we played them really well. And we did that without Grant Newell. He went out early with an ankle injury. Then we played USF in the second game. In that game, Terrion Murdoch went down with his injury. Um, quite frankly, we probably should have won that game. We were up 17 early in the game. We were up 7 with a little over a minute left. And unfortunately, we just couldn't finish. Had a couple turnovers. They hit some big shots. They sent it to overtime, and they pulled out the win. You hate to lose that kind of game, but it's a non-conference game. It was just a tournament style game that really doesn't affect our season, but hopefully we learned from it. And then we were able to bounce back and beat a really good Wichita team in the third game. So really like what I saw down there. Saw an interview with Coach Plona on Monday where he said we proved that we can play with anybody in the nation. And you got to love that kind of confidence, especially when you showed it against a top 25, potentially top 10 or 15 caliber team in Vandy. I mean, we were right there neck and neck with them basically that entire game. They pulled away a little bit in the second half, but we closed that gap quick. So really excited for what this team is going to look like down the stretch, and what kind of season we could have. Looking towards CUSA play in the CUSA tournament.
Next, we got some exciting news for WKU volleyball. They are a 7 seed and will open play versus Marquette in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, really kind of a unique situation for WKU volleyball getting that 7 seed. They open up with Marquette on Friday. I want to say the game is at 3 o'clock Central Time. Just going off the top of my head. And then on the other side of the bracket in the same pod is Loyola Chicago and Louisville, who is the 2 seed in our little pod. So the game is at Louisville. It's not at the Yum Center. It's at the LNN Federal Credit Union. I think there's concerts at Yum Center Friday and Saturday night, so it couldn't be there. But really unique situation in the fact that we've already played all 3 teams in the pod. We lost to Marquette early in the season, 0-3. We beat Loyola Chicago, and we lost to U of L. But I think Marquette is in for a little bit of surprise because we were not a healthy WKU team when they faced us early in the season at the Marquette. I forget if it was the Marquette Invitational or the Dayton Invitational, but either way, Callie Bauer was still coming back from a shoulder injury. She was splitting time with Kate Rush. Izzy wasn't fully healthy, so I think they're going to see a lot different team here at the end of the season than what they saw at that early season tournament. So I think we can make a run. We can definitely win a game. And obviously if we're playing Louisville in the second round in Louisville, that's going to be a tough matchup. They're a top 5, top 10 caliber team, so that'll be a tough game, tough draw. But I definitely think we can go win one at least.
Moving on, Lady Hilltopper basketball. They beat Southern Illinois 60-52.
Yeah, nice to see the Lady Toppers get a win. It's been a little bit of a rough start to the season for them. They're dealing with some injuries. They've had a couple players go down, so dealing with a little adversity, dealing with a lot of new faces on the roster. It almost kind of feels like the men's team from last year, what they dealt with as far as the injuries. So nice to see them get a good, solid victory there over Southern Illinois.
And we got some pro top news. Khalif Halassi signed with the Vikings practice squad.
Yeah, say Khalif has been with the Vikings before over the last couple of seasons. So nice to see him sign with a team that he's familiar with and they're familiar with him. And obviously, we hope he gets a chance to be called up to the 53-man roster. So big congratulations to Khalif.
And that concludes this week's episode of the Red Towel Wrap Up. Moff, back to you.
Good stuff as always. Can't wait to talk about that WKU volleyball, how they do in the tournament this Friday. Obviously, we'll talk about that next week. Whenever we get to next week's episode. But now we got to jump into this game recap that is brought to you by the Roof Girl. If you have a leaky roof, shingles detached, faded, or just plain blah, don't call any roof company. Call Paula with Roof Girl. Locally owned and operated with over 6 years of experience and a proud WKO alumna, she will work with your insurance company. Give Roof Girl a call today at 270-392-4768 to set up a free inspection and quote. See her work by following Roof Girl on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, you're not just calling any roofing company, you're calling Paula, a person who cares for your roof. And a good roof is a roof you can forget about. So call Roof Girl again at 270-392-4768 to get started today. Now, jumping into the actual game recap, WKU went down this past Saturday to Jacksonville, Alabama, middle of nowhere, Alabama, to play the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State in front of an announced crowd of, don't get me started, 16,733 people, give or take about half of that, maybe on a good day. Maybe they were counting both hands, both feet. I don't know what they were counting, but a little bit of inflation has hit the counting process in Jacksonville State. But nonetheless, the game, as we know, coming in was winner take all. It was a de facto playoff game for this coming week's Conference USA Championship game. Whoever won the game would be the host. If WKU lost, we would be eliminated. So it was really do or die for Western Kentucky. The first half really started like a track meet. Jacksonville State got the ball first. They went down and scored very quickly, 6 or 7 play drive, 75 yards to take a 7-0 lead. WKU immediately answered and tied the game at 7 on a Rodney Tisdale tush push play. WK was able to extend their lead in the first quarter on a Lavelle Wright touchdown run to make the score 14-7. And then early in the second quarter, WKU added another touchdown on a Katie Hutchinson run to take a 21-7 lead. And quite frankly, it looked like WKU might just run away with this game and make it a blowout. But Jacksonville State showed life before halftime. They were able to add a field goal and a touchdown on their next 2 possessions to close the gap to 21-17. WKU had the ball before halftime, and it really felt like a great time for a 2-for-1 opportunity because we could have closed the half with a scoring drive, and then we were opening the second half where we would have gotten ball first. So we really had a chance to make a 14-point swing when we were already up 21-17. And we did our part. We went down and we scored a touchdown on a 39-yard touchdown run by Lavelle Wright. But unfortunately, there was still a minute 52 left on the clock. Even though we did take that 28-17 lead, Jacksonville State was still able to go on a 6-play, 75-yard drive and score a touchdown with 15 seconds left till halftime. And they really kind of stole a lot of the momentum to the game. It made the score 28-24, and I don't know how everybody else felt that was listening, but it was really a little bit deflating, the fact that we played such a perfect first half, almost a flawless first half. I mean, we scored, it felt like nearly every possession we had the ball, and we only had a 4-point lead going into halftime. So that, it just didn't feel like we had a lot to show for how good of a first half that we played. Tyler, before I jump into the second half, just want to get your thoughts on the first half of the game. It there for a minute, it seemed like we were going to run away with it and blow them out, and then we let them back in. Then obviously that end of the half touchdown by both teams closed that gap and made it really tight. What were your thoughts and what were you thinking and how were you feeling about the game at halftime?
I mean, I honestly thought. I mean, the first half of the game played great. I felt like, especially that first quarter. I I like you thought, hey, we're about to put our foot down. We're about to run away with this thing. We're going to put our foot on the throats, and we're just going to take the air out of the stadium. It's going to be just the second half should just been, hey, just hold the lead. Yeah, it didn't turn out like that. Jacksonville State in the second quarter, they had two touchdown. They had two times to score a touchdown in less than 2 minutes. 1 minute, the one that had 4 plays. Of course, that was whenever we threw the interception. 4 plays, 1 minute 47 seconds. Then the second touchdown right before halftime, 6 plays, 75 yards, 1 minute 37 seconds. Granted, if you give them a short field like that, it shouldn't take you very long to score. But um, I thought our offense was really rolling. I thought our defense was playing good. We forced them to a punt, forced them to field goals, and if you hold teams to field goals, feel like you got a good chance of winning it. But I mean, this game was tough. Just like we said it was going to be. It's going to be a hard game. And the first half, I think, yeah, we did play great. And you're right, it was kind of deflating to only be up 4 after playing such a great half of football.
Yeah, and then the second half started, and really, coming out of half, I was like, man, we've got to score this first possession. We're only up by 4. We need to take the momentum back. But we were held to a punt. Four plays, end up punting the ball back to Jacksonville State. They went down and took the lead on a 3-play, 76-yard drive. Just gashing us with big runs. Really, in the first half, I think we held them to under 100 yards rushing at halftime. We were out rushing them at halftime, but they opened up the second half and kind of asserted their will, changed things up on defense, started bringing more pressure after the quarterback, and they took the lead early in that third quarter with a touchdown to make it 31-28. We actually came down and added a field goal to tie the score at 31. Jacksonville State answered with a field goal of their own early in the fourth quarter to take a 34-31 lead. Then a couple of drives later, WKU tied the score with another field goal to make it 34-all. The teams traded punts. Jacksonville State got the ball back with 4:18. And really, at that point, I just felt not great about the situation we were in. We punted the ball to them, didn't have momentum, and they were just in a position where they could drive down, make us burn our timeouts, which honestly we had kind of mismanaged. We had burned a couple and only had one timeout left. So we really left us with that in the 2-minute stoppage. So we had to stop them. We need to get off the field. And at one point we had them at a 3rd and 15, and they would have been on the long end of their field goal range if we could have held them on that 3rd and 15. But we gave up an 18-yard pass to the sideline, and I don't want to say the rest is history, but Jacksonville State ended up putting themselves in position to kick a game-winning field goal with no time left on the clock. Unfortunately, the loss moves WKU to 8-4 overall. It dropped us to 6-2 in Conference USA play, and it eliminated us from the CUSA title game contention, which will now be played between Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State. They're at Jacksonville State at Amherst Stadium for the second year in a row. Jacksonville State hosting the title game with first-year coach Charles Kelly. Big congratulations to them. They played a good game. They won it 37-34. A little disappointing that we scored 28 first half points and we only scored 6 points in the second half. Didn't get in the end zone, only kicked a couple field goals. And honestly, it kind of feels like that was kind of a microcosm of the season, kind of encapsulated in one half of football there, that we were just really inconsistent scoring the ball. Usually we started slow. We saw that most of the season. We started slow and then we'd end the game strong. This game, we saw the opposite. We played a really good first half, 28 first half points. Looks like you just got to score a couple of touchdowns and keep them at arm's length, and you can run away and win this ball game. But you only put 6 points on the board in the second half. That's not going to get it done, and it didn't get it done. So big hats off, better adjustments, better coaching. You hear the Bluebirds out now. Tyson Helton in year 7, now 0-for-7 in Conference USA championships. It is what it is. We'll save that discussion for another day. But Tyler, what are your thoughts on how the game ended, the second half, the disappointment of just not winning and not advancing to the title game?
I mean, it sucks not advancing to the title game, I felt like this team had the steam and had the makeup to make it there, but, you're right, when we used, 2 of those timeouts, in the 3rd and 4th quarter when we still had plenty of time in the game left, it just leaves you with 1, you kinda need that, but Jacksonville State clearly came out with a better defensive play. They adjusted their defense to what our offense was doing and was able to keep us out of the end zone. Yes, like you said, typically we have been a slow starting team, but then we speed up in the second half. This time it was the complete inverse. It sucks. I, I I wish we could. I wish we could be playing Kennesaw State. I feel like that would also be a great game. But the powers that be didn't see it that we should play in it this year. I know a lot of people um, kind of wanting. Sorry about that. Kind of wanting someone's head, but you're right. We're gonna save that for a conversation for another day. But um, I just wish we could have got over this hump and maybe gotten to the end zone one time in the second half. That would have been enough to put us the winner. But it just couldn't do it. Man, this sucks.
Yeah, it definitely sucks. It felt like a winnable game. It felt like a winnable season. We knew coming in Jacksonville State was tough at home. They were undefeated at home. Even though they came in a slight underdog, a point and a half underdog, it still felt like a game that we could win. Um, talked about their ability to win some tight games against some not great teams in Conference USA, and it felt like that was going to kind of be the case versus us as well. We had an opportunity to put that game away. We just didn't do it. Didn't step up, didn't score, didn't finish drives when it mattered. So let's jump into the leading stat uh, havers for the game. The leading passer, of course, was quarterback Rodney Tisdale Jr. He finished the game 17 out of 24. He had 180 passing yards. He had no touchdowns, and he had one interception that I'll put an asterisk by because I've always thought a tip ball interception should count more on the wide receiver than it should the quarterback. And that was a ball that the wide receiver should have caught, in my opinion. But it ended up being a tip drill interception. It is what it is. Lavelle Wright, leading rusher, ended up with 14 rushes for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. So a heck of a game for Lavelle. In his next to last game as a Hilltopper, obviously he has a bowl game. We hope he's playing in it healthy and not opted out wherever and whenever that game is. Also, shout out to Marvis Parrish, who finished with 12 carries for 52 yards. Really good game for him. Our leading receiver was Musa Berry. He had 3 catches for 68 yards. And then also Matt Henry had 3 catches for 52 yards. So Tyler, talk to me about some of these offensive guys. Obviously, 34 points is still a pretty good offensive showing. We talked a lot this year about, needing to be able to score that 30-point number to win games and win games comfortably. And, came up short of 30 points a lot, especially early in the conference season, but got there today, but just didn't get enough done. Who stood out to you on the offensive side of the ball versus Jacksonville State?
I mean, kind of like you said, Lavelle Wright. Typically we score touchdowns by throwing it, but this season, Lavelle Wright has been able to come in there, power through, and get across the line. But I think this was our best offensive rushing game, or our best rushing game of the season. 36 carries, 204 yards. That's great. None of the receivers had any receiving touchdowns, but at least we was getting it through on the ground. But Noah Myers, he had 3 receptions for 18 yards. Katie Hutchinson's 5 for 37. George Hart, he had 1 for 8 rushing. And then, like I said, Katie Hutchinson's also got some runs in, 3 for 16. Tisdale played good. He only had 7 missed passes. granted, one of those was an interception, but I felt like the offense played great in this game.
Yeah, I feel like they did enough in the first half. Yeah, I mean they scored enough points to win the game. Quite frankly, I mean I'm not trying to put anything on the defense, but we did give up 37 points, so that's kind of unlike our defense. Looking at the overall stats of the season, we actually were the number 2 scoring defense in Conference USA during Conference USA games only. Number 2 scoring defense. So bend don't break was a little bit more break than bend, unfortunately, against Jacksonville State. But looking at some of the defensive players, I only highlighted a couple, and these guys have been kind of still in the spotlight the last few weeks. LSU, that both of these guys were mentioned. I want to say the week before against MTSU, both of these guys were mentioned. And it starts with Jalen Wester, 13 tackles, 12 of those were solo. That's kind of crazy. Usually you see a 13 tackle, you'll see 6, 7, or 8 solo, but 12 of his 13 tackles were solo tackles, and he had 1 tackle for loss. Then we also had Jalen Lewis, who had 9 total tackles, and 6 of those were solo. Those were the only 2 guys I highlighted. Everybody else was kind of clustered in that 6, 7, 5 um, tackle range. Just a big cluster, just a lot of guys we'd have to talk about. But defensively, it felt like we kind of fell into the less aggressive version of what we saw against LSU. LSU was kind of a swarming, high energy, high intensity, everybody going to the ball, shutting it down. It kind of felt like we reverted back to that arm tackling, just not getting people on the ground. 3rd and 15, allowing an 18-yard pass down the sideline in a soft zone with only a three-man rush. Just basics that will lose you ball games, and that just kind of is what it is. That's what it came down to, is just not being able to stop their run. They had 93 yards at halftime. I want to say they ended up with over 300 yards rushing. I didn't record the rushing yards, but they had a pretty good rushing game at the end of the day. Caden Creel ended up busting a couple runs. Cam Cook just kind of grinding runs out. Still like what we did defensively. I felt like we still did enough to win this game, but when you only score 6 points in the second half, it's hard to hold on to a slim lead at halftime, that's for sure. Tyler, who stood out to you on the defensive side of the ball versus Jacksonville State?
Well, you're right. Jalen Wester and Jalen Lewis, both of them played great. But I like to highlight two of the players because we had 2 sacks that game. We had Robbie Harrison. He had 3 total tackles, 3 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. And then also you had Jai Eugene. He had 1 total tackle, 1 sack, and 1, of course, 1 tackle for loss. But Anthony Brackenridge, he had 5 total tackles, 3 solo, 1 tackle for loss. We had dudes getting in the backfield, but yes, I feel like this defense was kind of softer than what we saw the week before, and that was kind of disappointing.
And then looking at the guys on special teams. Now, I'm just going off the ESPN box score. It said John Cannon was 2 out of 2 on field goals, and I could have sworn that we put Jack Cassidy in for one of those field goals. That one that hooked real bad. Um, I could have swore Jack Cassidy was in kicking that one, but nonetheless, it said John Cannon was 2 out of 2 on field goals. Cole Maynard came in. He punted 3 times, had a 45.3-yard average with a long of 56. Not a lot doing there on special teams, but what do you think about those guys, Tyler?
Well, I like to just a little off subject here. Those ESPN Plus announcers, whenever that long field goal kind of hooked in there, I was wanting to cuss them dudes out so bad. It's a miss. It's a miss. I'm like, dude, look at the refs down there on the field. They're clearly giving the it's good sign. Just ignorance though. But um, 2 out of 2, great. Cole Maynard, I wish he could only went out there once, maybe twice tops. But whenever he did, he was able to flip the field. But I felt like special teams did good.
Let's jump into our keys to victory recap to see how we did, just on our three keys each. So, Tyler, your first one was contain and slow down the run game. How did we do?
Well, first half felt like we did good. Granted, Creel, he's 20 carries, 143 yards. Cam Cook, 25 carries for 137. Um, we kind of slowed them down. I think this was Cam Cook's second highest rushing game of the season that I saw, at least the last five. But, um, I felt like we could have did better with that.
Yeah, it was kind of a tale of two halves. Slowed them down in the first half, and then let them, salt the game away in the second half. My first key to victory was win on first and second down, and while we did hold them to a pretty much average third down conversion, 5 out of 15. Um, Still wasn't enough because they were 2 out of 3 on fourth down attempts, which means they were in third and short and fourth and short situations. So I think we did pretty good on first and second down, but we didn't win it to where we were getting them off the field enough on third and fourth down, unfortunately. Tyler, your second key to victory was limit turnovers. How do we do?
Well, we lost the turnover battle 2-1. We knew coming into the game that they like to punch balls out. Granted, that they did that at least once. So we didn't do too good at that neither. I mean, it wasn't a complete you know blowout of the turnovers, but if you lose, you lose.
Yeah, rough day at the office for one of our receivers who shall remain nameless. But yeah, a couple turnovers there that obviously hurt you. My second key to victory was continue to rely on the run game, and we did. I mean, we did a heck of a job. Lavelle had a great game. Marvis had a great game. Really liked what we were doing in the first half. A lot of times we were only seeing 3 and 4 down linemen. Seemed like second half they adjusted and didn't let us gash as much. But we definitely applied pressure via the run game. So I think we were successful there. Your third key to victory, Tyler, was play hard hitting defense. How do we do there?
Once again, not it. First half good, second half not too good. After what we saw at LSU, I thought it was going to be a lot. A lot of the same. You're right. They did kind of revert back to arm tackling. There wasn't a gang tackle and too much. It wasn't as good as what I thought it'd be.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the intensity of the LSU game. So just not hard hitting enough. We had a couple guys show up, but just not the entire defense. My third key to victory was get pressure up front. Really wanted to make Caden Krill uncomfortable, and while we did, yeah, we got pressure. We had him moving around in the pocket, but unfortunately, we were unable to get him down to the ground enough, and he was extending plays with his legs, finding receivers down the field, picking up first downs with his legs, gashing us with some big runs. So pressure, yes, but getting home to the quarterback, not enough to impact this game. Looking at the key indicators for this game, first downs favored Jacksonville State 24-21. Third down conversions, WKU slightly won. We were 4 out of 10 for 40%. Jacksonville State was 5 out of 15 for 33%, but they were also 2 out of 3 on fourth down. So that would push that up to 7 out of 15. So almost 50% if you want to look at their third and fourth downs combined. Total yards in the game, WKU had 384, Jacksonville State 515, and a lot of that was the imbalance of the second half. That's really where they kind of put some separation there. Turnovers 2-1. Jacksonville State with a fumble, WKU with a fumble and a tipped interception. Penalties were basically even. WKU had 7 penalties for 63 yards. Jacksonville State had 7 for 70. Don't get me started on how many holding penalties should have been called. That's a whole another episode. I know penalties were even. Doesn't mean they should have been even though. Don't Get me started. And then time of possession, WKU 28-36, Jacksonville State 31-24, slightly in their favor across the board, and really just shows how close this game was overall. Well, Tyler, let's jump into grades for this game. What do you have for the offense versus Jacksonville State?
Offense versus Jacksonville State. I mean, we did have 384 yards. Our rush game was awesome. We did score over 34 points. I'm gonna give the offense a B in this one.
Yeah, I'm giving them a B as well, and I'm only pinging them, not giving them an A, for the 2 turnovers, basically. I mean, if we don't have 2 turnovers, those could be 2 drives where we go down and score points, and we lose by 3. Quite frankly, any points would have been good points, field goal or touchdown. So I'm gonna give them a B. They had a good first half, a great first half. You could even say second half. Obviously, I feel like we left some meat on the bone, but I'll give them a B for the overall body of work. Tyler, what about your grade for the defense versus Jacksonville State?
I mean, we did. So we gave up 515 yards, and they only scored 37 points. Um, our red zone defense has been great all year. This time that they had some really long runs, and just was able to get into cross that end zone. So, uh, I'm gonna give the defense a. This is tough. I'm gonna give defense a C minus.
Yeah, the defense had only been averaging giving up 25 points per game in Conference US. Well, less than 25 coming into the game, less than 25 points per game in conference play, and then we give up 37. So below average for what I expected, below average for what we need to do to get the win. I'm gonna give him a D. It wasn't enough, quite frankly. You got to tackle better. You got to keep them out of the end zone. Got to get those runners, those elusive runners, to the ground. Got to get off the field on 3rd and 15. Just all the little things, all the attention to detail, the things we didn't do, the things we couldn't get done, um, all added up together. For a walk-off field goal loss. It is what it is. So, Tyler, what about your grade for the special teams?
2 out of 2 field goals from John Cannon, Cole Maynard flipped the field. Cameron Flyers, he had 2 kick returns, 9 yards. The special teams went out there and did what special teams supposed to do. So I'm gonna give them an A in it.
I'm gonna give him an A, but Cameron Flowers was making me nervous on a couple of those kick returns. He he was making me nervous on deciding if he wanted to bring it out or not. Take a knee, fair catch it. Looked like he was running in quicksand one time when he did return it. He didn't have any mistakes per se, but man, he made me nervous a couple times. I'm not gonna lie, but the specialists, the kickers, everybody else, just clean operations, clean processes as usual. So yes, I'll give them an A as well. Tyler, what about your grade for coaching?
All right, so it's not going to be very good. Coaches. I don't feel like they adapted with the second half with the game plan coming out of second half. Mismanagement of the clock in the fourth quarter with burning the 2 early timeouts. And I feel like they could have came up with a better, or at least came up with something there in the second half to get points on, to put the team in a better position to score more points. But plays, schemes, defense got a little lax. So I'm gonna give coaches a D in this one.
Fair enough. D for me as well. And mainly for a lot of the reasons you touched on. The timeouts felt like they were mismanaged, not getting off the field on 3rd and 15, not adapting to the second half pressure that was being put on Tisdale. They were kind of speeding him up, making him process the game a little faster. Not continuing to utilize the run game, not using the over the middle passing game to just make his life a little easier, get some drive, some momentum, make them have to switch up their defense, drop back and respect the pass. They were just pinning their ears back and coming after Rodney Tisdale. So yeah, adjustments. It felt like we were out adjusted. It felt like we were out coached, and just not as prepared in the second half as we were in the first half. Tale of two halves. If we were grading the first half, man, that was an A. But the second half was not great, and the total body of work with the loss included, and all the factors we discussed, I think it was a D. I think that was well earned and well deserved. Didn't win the ball game. What about your overall grade for this loss to Jacksonville State?
Well, I pretty much ran the gambit on this list, from A's to D's. The only one I didn't give is an F. So I'm thinking it's going to average out to be about a C minus. And that factors in the loss and just how angry or disappointed I was after that loss. That I still kind of feel that same way now.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the total game overall. I'm gonna give it a C as well. It's just an average game. It was a winnable game. It was a game I felt like we should have won. For most of the game, I felt like we were the better team. We just couldn't finish the game and put it away. We couldn't finish drives that need to be finished and put points on the board. We couldn't make stops that need to be made at critical and crucial times. We didn't save timeouts, and it led to that walk-off field goal with no time remaining. So I think a C, an average performance. I don't want to say a typical Helton big game performance. We've seen him win. We've seen him win this game a couple times. He won it last year, walk-off field goal with Lucas Canario. He won it in 2021, final regular season game at Marshall. Hung 60 on him in a huge game to go to the title game versus UTSA. But this felt like a game that we could have won. Felt like a game we should have won, and should have been in this conference title game. So it is what it is. An average game overall to me. Tyler, who do you have for your player of the game?
I'm gonna go with Lavelle Wright in here, man. He ran his tail off, getting into the end zone for two times. I felt like he had an amazing game.
Well, what you doing with your field still out over there?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I was going to look and see if every Jacksonville Western game has ended in a field goal, because I feel like 2 years ago, or their first year in Conference USA, it did end in a walk-off field goal. And I for some reason it's in my head, and I just got to check it. But I hate Jacksonville State.
They definitely have our number right now. My player of the game, I'm also going with Lavelle Wright. I mean, that boy had his best rushing game of the season, and I think it kind of echoes something we said earlier in the season. I really feel like, as much as I like Marvis Parrish and his versatility, what he brings to the backfield and catching the ball out of the backfield, and he's a little bit more of a east and west, make you miss, can bounce outside runner. Man, I think Lavelle Wright maybe should have got more carries. Maybe should have been running back one, getting the early work. But he also did a good job at coming in and being the closer in several games. The Nevada game, the Missouri State game. He helped us shut some games down. But I really think if he had more chances this season, he could have had a real special season at running back. Because man, his power just was fun to watch. But just jumping into the final words and outro, obviously this is a disappointing game to lose. It's a disappointing way for the season to end. We end 8-4. I think both of us had us predicted in the 9 to 10 win range, if I'm not mistaken. I know I had us losing to LSU, Toledo, and Louisiana Tech. I had us at 9-3. We actually end up 8-4. I don't think anyone saw the clunker to FIU coming. And obviously, this game, as the season progressed, this game turned into a coin flip type of game. On the road, we knew it was going to be tough. But man, they were gettable. That was a game we could have won. I feel like we should have won. I feel like we would have matched up really, really well with Kennesaw State if we were playing them or if we had a rematch playing Jacksonville State, it would have been at home here at the Houch in Bowling Green. I feel like that rematch would have been very favorable for us to be at home because Jacksonville State did not play good on the road this year. They all those close wins against Sam Houston, UTEP, Middle, those were all on the road. They just tough games that they somehow won. But man, it feels like we let one get away. Another season, no Conference USA title. The Helton Headhunters are out. They are getting louder by the season, by the game. But we're not firing an 8-4 coach. I got news for him. It's not happening. Todd's not doing it. He's going to be back for the 2026 season unless the coaching carousel snags him. And quite frankly, that's down to, it looks like Memphis is really about the only open and available job that is mentioning his name. His name is being mentioned, in the interest pile. So I guess keep your eye on Memphis and what they're doing and who they end up hiring. I'm sure they want to make a decision soon, as we just had National Signing Day today on Wednesday as we record. But it is what it is. Like I said, National Signing Days today, reloading the roster with some high school and JUCO talent. The transfer portal will be opening very soon. We await our bowl game announcement to find out who we play, find out when we play, find out where we play. Should be finding that out next weekend after the conference championship games. So we still have one football game left. Not all is lost. Get to watch these guys one more time. Hopefully somewhere warm. Hopefully against a good opponent, and hopefully, as much as people say bowl games don't matter, I still want to win. I still want to win them all, no matter who it's against. Seems like Sun Belt teams, we get those matchups a lot, but whoever it is, wherever it is, I just hope it's a good team, good location, and a good game that ends up in a Hilltopper victory. So looking forward to that. Obviously, looking forward to, we'll be kind of pivoting our coverage a little bit more to the basketball side. Obviously, with just one football game remaining, basketball will kind of take front and center over the next couple weeks as we start diving into their game previews and recaps and just how the basketball team is doing. And if you haven't been paying attention, they're having a good season. We've talked about it, talked about their players of the week. We've talked about Teagan Moore having a good start to the season, but exciting basketball over there. They've got a game coming up real soon against Evansville. I think it's this Saturday at home. If you get a chance, go out and watch them. Obviously, support the Lady Toppers as well. If you get a chance, go watch them. WKU volleyball playing in the NCAA tournament this Friday, hopefully advancing to the second round if they can beat Marquette. So a lot of good stuff going on. Postseason being played, volleyball and football. So cheer, support and cheer on those tops. Hopefully next time we record, we're talking about some victories and just some good games. And looking forward to basketball season as it gets closer to Conference USA play. Tyler, hit us with your final words and take us on out of here.
Yeah, I woke up Sunday morning, thankful, grateful, and blessed that I don't live in Jacksonville, Alabama. Place looks terrible, but I'm excited for a bowl game because typically, we see the team go out there, have fun, get to see a bunch of highlight plays, and hopefully the offense is really on full display in that bowl game. But yes, I can't wait to start talking about basketball because Armello Boone, I got some comparisons to him who I think he looks like from seasons past, and I can't wait to talk about it. But yeah, hopefully we get somewhere warm, good opponent in the bowl game because I think that'd just be a nice way to end the season. But yes, come out this Saturday. They play Evansville. Basketball team plays at Evansville, I think at 3 p.m. Should be a good game. Go support the Lady Hilltoppers volleyball team. Watch them when they start the NCAA tournament. Like just kind of echoing what you said. Let's cheer them on to a NCAA, finals appearance. But with that, Moff, and I was right. The first time we played Jack State at Jack State in 2023, it was 17-20. They won on that walk-off field goal because I remember the dude turned around like he won a Super Bowl. Hey, cool dude, where you at now? And also at least we can beat our in-state P4 schools. I don't think Jacksonville's probably going to beat Auburn or Alabama anytime soon. But hey, go try, buddy. So with that, Moff, who has it better than us?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Go Tops, y'all.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See y'all.